What's going on, guys? It's Cal here from Buffalo Sports Center. Today, I am joined with Paul Dawson, defenseman of the Buffalo Bandits. Paul, how are you doing tonight?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
I am doing really good. Again, the Bandits looking to three-peat this season in the playoffs. I'm going to hit you with a heavy question right away here. Bandit Land. What the heck is it like playing in front of Bandit Land? Again, you are a true and true veteran in the league. You've been to a lot of arenas. You've seen a lot, but how is Bandit Land special and different?
Yeah, I mean it's really tough to compare it to really any other place, to be honest. If you look at even like this past season, like 5 out of 9 sellouts, a world like a record for most people in the building in a season. But yeah, like I've said it kind of since I've got here. Like even when I was playing against the Bandits, even though I may have not liked it, I loved playing in Buffalo just because the fans are so passionate. Whether you're on their side or against it, they're going to be loud. But obviously now being on the Bandit side, it's amazing. Like again, kind of as an athlete, you want to play in front of, you kind of grow up dreaming of playing in front of sold out barns, and they gave it to us. But it's not just that; they're passionate, they're knowledgeable, they're into the game. So yeah, it's second to none.
Yeah, and I've been to a lot of games in the last couple of seasons, and it is just it's a madhouse there. I cannot wait till the Sabres get that atmosphere as a Sabres fan as well. But let's start off with the beginning of your career because you were actually drafted as a goalie. Fill me in on that a little bit. Was that always your dream growing up to become a goalie in the league, or did you kind of just go in as a way to get in and then transition to a defenseman?
Yeah, no, I mean the dream was to play in the NHL first and foremost, and then like most Canadian kids, that dream died around 21. I played junior hockey and junior lacrosse growing up to those 21, and then once the hockey dream was done, I went into the draft. But I always just played goalie in summer lacrosse, but I played defense in hockey, and then kind of long story short, I got drafted, pretty high, and then I was playing summer ball back in Canada, and we were shorthanded D guys. So the coach at the time just was like, do you think you could just fill in for a couple games? We don't know if guys are coming back. We're shorthanded. And after like some thought, at first I said no because I just got drafted. But then I was like, well, I'll just be for a couple games, so like why not, right? And then I just never went back in the net. And then lucky enough, the team that drafted me gave me a shot to come play defense, and yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah, and I mean that's got to be one of the dirtiest jobs in all of sports, playing defense in lacrosse. And again, the people in Buffalo, everyone talks about Dane Smith, right? Everyone talks about Josh Burton, but I mean, you guys on the defensive side of things, just block shot after block shot, and it's a tough sport, it's a gruesome sport, and I think that's kind of why Buffalo loves it, right? This city loves hits, the city loves fights, and all that sort of stuff. Uh, Fill me in on that. Like, how do you recover from a game? Like, how you're going to get banged up to the maximum degree every single night? How do you go in with that mindset, and how do you recover every week?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the block shots, you can't really recover too much from it. You just gotta fight through the bumps and bruises, and then playing games, everything else, just try and be diligent off the floor. Like it's a little bit cliche, but just make sure you're taking care of the body. Obviously, I'm turning 40 in a couple months here, so can't recover like I used to. So you got to be a little more diligent with nutrition, training, and I wish I could say sleep, but I got two young kids and a third one on the way, so sleep's not really part of the recovery routine. But yeah, man, it's just all kind of that stuff. Just being diligent on doing the right things away from the rink and giving yourself the best chance to be ready to get going the next week.
Yeah, and I mean you're 39, and that's very rare for the NLL, right? And a lot of these guys, you have team scheduled practices, but a lot of the stuff is away from the team, right? Like a lot of the stuff you got to find on yourself. You got to find turf to, play. I know a couple of guys on your team go to my old baseball facility, for instance, to go, practice and all that sort of stuff. So how hard is it to like find places to practice in not only the season but in the off season as well?
Yeah, I mean, off season is a little bit easier because it gets nice outside. So like you could just go to a school and go classic wall ball. So it's a little bit easier. And then there are some outdoor boxes around Ontario, so it's a little bit easier off season. But in the heat of winter, it's pretty tough. So yeah, you just again, I don't do too much stick stuff, to be honest, during the week. But I have a good gym with some turf and whatnot. So that's where I'm doing most of my running, conditioning, lifting weights. So yeah, I kind of focus on the strength and conditioning side, and then the stick kind of comes out during practice and during games.
Yeah, and you have all of that, and then you also have the firefighter life. Fill me in on that a little bit too, and how you kind of manage both. And of course, you have the iconic mustache as well that fits the part perfectly.
Yeah, yeah. I get bored and I got long hair and mustache right now. I'll probably cut it and trim it at some point in the near future, but figured I might as well just grow it out for the season and keep the mustache. But yeah, like I mean, with the firefighting gig, my schedule's set. So once once the NLL schedule comes out, I can just see what days I'm working and what game conflict with if I'm working a weekend or whatnot, and then I can take some vacation days, or we're allowed to switch shifts with people. So again, I've been firefighting for about 13 years of the 19 or so I've been in the league. So guys know I'm always looking for shift change. So that there's a bunch of guys and girls willing to help me out, which is nice. So kind of that's how I get the games off and practices off, and then might have to work a little bit more in the summer, but it's just kind of the cost of doing business. But yeah, the department and all the people in it are great for me and great to me.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping in the near future, you guys don't have to do that, right? If you're playing lacrosse, hopefully you can make enough money to the point where it's just lacrosse. And again, they're promoting it as the next major league. And it is trending that way, right? Not only in Buffalo, we're seeing other cities like Calgary, other cities get these bigger attendance numbers. And again, I mean, this sport, who wouldn't want to watch box lacrosse, right? I mean, it is just constant action, constant shots. Another thing I want to bring up with box lacrosse is everyone who talks to me, and again, we have a lot of newer Bandits fans too who message me on Instagram all the time. You know, where can I watch the Bandits? They have Bandits questions. One of the main questions they have is the music, right? Music plays the entire game. What kind of music do you vibe to? What music gets you hyped up? And is there any songs that they play that you kind of wish they would stop playing during games?
Yeah, like to be honest, like during the game, I unless it's like a stoppage to play, I don't really realize what's playing. I use
Yeah.
it as kind of like background noise. So I'm not too picky with music, honestly. I like everything. Um, if I'm gonna pick one genre, it's probably gonna be like some mid 2000s EDM, the golden age of EDM. That's probably
Yeah.
what I'm gonna fire on some Alesso and Swedish House Mafia. That's probably what I'm gonna get into. But again, I like old school rap and all kind of sorts of country. So I'm not too picky, to be honest.
Yeah, because I've seen some reports, and a lot of guys say, you know, when the other team has the ball and they're on defense, they play sort of slower songs to try to like null them to sleep, and then the opposite, you know, try to get hyped up on offense. Let's jump into some more of your career. You spent a lot of time in Rochester. You played with Matt Vint a bunch of times too. What is it like, you know, playing with him this year in Buffalo as opposed to years prior?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's kind of like riding a bike, like, and that's what I think made the transition so smooth coming in last year. Like, just knowing kind of what Matty wants, and he kind of knows what not what I want, but what I'm gonna do. But again, kind of likes what I do, so it kind of made the transition pretty smooth. So, um, yeah, it's nice to kind of get back in the saddle and start having some success again with them. And again, like we've been teammates for a long time and friends off the floor for a long time. So that's kind of as you pick up right where it left off, just in a different spot. But again, it's cool again because like you say, we're in Bandit land. Our friends and family came to Roch, but especially for him being St. Catharines, his wife and kids, and now I have a wife and kids. So it's a little bit of a different time in our lives too, which is cool. So yeah, we get to kind of share, a different phase of our lives together too, which is nice.
Yeah, and you bring up family, of course. I mean, your family is just huge in the NLL. Your brother Dan Dawson, 10 seasons together. You guys played 2 championships. You guys also have a podcast, Back of the Bird podcast. If you want to let everyone know what you guys do on the podcast, maybe shout it out a little bit. And also, what was it like playing with your brother for that many seasons? I mean, that's a dream come true.
Yeah, like you say, I mean, me and my brother are super close too. So yeah, it was amazing. And obviously, him being one of the best players, of all time doesn't hurt when you got to play with him instead of against him. So But it was, again, just easier on the family. When we first started playing, it's a little bit tough. My dad was traveling all over the United States and going to different arenas and whatnot. So this was a one-stop shop. You didn't have to choose what team to
Yeah.
play for. You didn't have to see who the favorite son was. Everyone was just on one team. So it was nice, again, to win those championships and share them with our dad and mom and brothers and sisters. So yeah, it is a dream come true again, especially, like I said, we're super close off the floor. So it was awesome.
Yeah, and again, you see in other leagues like the parents have the 50-50 split jerseys, and it is nice when you got a home game, or where your home games are. You could set up and go to all of them, and that's just really really cool. Let's talk a little bit about the playoffs this year. First things first, that wild card game against San Diego, super close game. I was there. Very defensive game, which I'm sure right up your alley. It was a stressful game, I'll say. I know a lot of people sitting around us were kind of panicking because it's the Bandits. We're used to scoring a ton of goals. We're used to the offensive side of things. How does a defensive game like that, change the mentality on the bench? Like you guys obviously used to scoring a lot of goals. Is there a little bit of panic, or do you guys kind of keep the same mentality?
No, I think we keep the same mentality. To be honest, like I felt like we owed our offense, after the last couple games. Like they were playing well enough, and we, not that we struggled, but I don't think we were playing up to par, and they were scoring enough goals, but unfortunately we were breaking down a little bit. So it was kind of nice for us as a defensive group to have that game where it was like, hey, like we got the offenses back. And to be honest, like both goalies played amazing, but I think it kind of gave us the confidence to continue on into Vancouver of like, okay, like this is who we are again. We owed our offense and we paid them back with a 5-4 game. So I think, the message stayed the same, but it kind of just boosted our confidence to kind of keep going throughout these playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean Vancouver, you sweep Vancouver, and that's like, all right, we're back. Like we're trending it towards potentially getting the three-peat. Now, in the championship, it's either going to be Saskatchewan or Halifax. Most likely Saskatchewan. If it is Saskatchewan, what are you guys thinking going into that series? Like, is there any main like points that you guys want to hit, or is it just kind of play our game? We're confident. This team has won back-to-back championships. Like we're just feeling good.
Yeah, I mean, end of the day, I think you always, the success that teams had, there's success for a reason, and there's proof in the pudding that we got to keep doing the same things that has got us here and made this team successful in years past. Every year is different, but at the same point, like you say, you got guys like Dane, Josh, Mickey, Chris Kluche, Dahoga, Bucky, like those guys got to keep doing what they're doing. But you're always going to prepare for each team a little bit differently. And, Sask is a young team with a good defense and, good transition game. So you're always still going to build a game plan, but kind of like I said, we still want to play bandit ball and do what makes us successful, but we're still going to come up with a game plan for either team and kind of what makes them successful. And hopefully we can take that away from them.
Yeah, the last point I want to hit on before I let you go here is John Tavares. Obviously, you've been in the league a while, you've played against him. Now he's your head coach. Again, two very solid players. Again, a very offensive player in Tavares, very defensive player in yourself. I'm sure you guys have had battles over the years. How has it? Do you have any stories playing against him that you want to share? And then how has that changed? Where now he is, behind the bench and kind of watching you guys play.
Yeah, no, I mean we had we had a fair amount of battles again. Me being a righty, him being a lefty. We went at it a fair amount. I have a funny story. Actually, I was telling him this the other day. When I was younger, I was playing goal, obviously, and he may have been helping out my brother's team in Oakville at a rep team. So I was coming on, or I was staying late after practice. He was coming on, and he was shooting on me. So again, I knew who he was, and I thought it was the coolest thing to have John Tavares shooting on me. But I remember I didn't stop a single ball, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm just getting lucky," but I didn't care. Like he didn't miss a single shot, so I loved it. So I told him that the other day, actually, which was pretty funny. And then, yeah, and then just the battles of the career. He's a quiet guy. He doesn't say much, but I will say one thing: he was pretty slick with his stick to get you back. If you got him, he made sure he'd get you back. But he's a man of few words. But it was it was an honor to play against him, and it's pretty cool to see what he's doing now away from the floor and the coaching spec.
Yeah, silent assassin, one could say. I know
Yeah.
I went to his jersey retirement, and he led the team around, holding the stick up. That was cool to see for sure. But thank you for joining us again. This was Paul Dawson, 39-year-old defenseman. I don't know how you're still doing it with the Buffalo Bandits. Absolute stud. Again, you could find him and his brother Dan Dawson's podcast, Back of the Bird podcast. We'll have all that information in the description. Thank you guys for watching this video, and peace out.
Thanks, guys.